But what's the going to be?
Oh, Lord.
All right, with us now, Democratic representative from South Carolina and good friend, House Majority Whip, Congressman Jim Clyburn.
Here
Jim,
we go.
we had Al Sharpton calling earlier today saying that he didn't think Rush Limbaugh should own a football team. You got a problem with Rush Limbaugh owning a football team?
Well, you know...
You got bigger issues to worry about, right?
And that's a little bit like asking, what's his name, Don Imus to own the basketball team, I guess. I suspect that we all look for people to be respectful of those people that work for you. So if he were to own a team, I would hope that he would treat his players a little more respect than he's treated other people's players.
I'm sure he would.
I think that's a fair argument. I'm not sure he can't own a team, but
there's some
that's a good hope.
Trying to stop. Okay, so let's talk about healthcare reform.
Oh, I wanted to ask about Charlie Rangel.
We can do that too, but first let's talk about healthcare reform. Democrats have a big vote in the Senate. The Baucus bill. We're waiting to see who's going to support it, who's not going to support it. Can Democrats in the House support the Baucus bill if that's the final plan?
No. That's different.
Okay, I will put you down as undecided.
The Baucus bill is the first step along a 61-year journey. And we're going to get that bill, or they will get it out of the committee onto the floor of the Senate. And you know that.
But you wouldn't support it, though, if that were the final bill.
The bill as is currently
the
written?
Baucus bill, right?
Absolutely not.
Why not?
Because I think that taxing benefits is a tough thing to do. On the House side, I've been asking you all to pay close attention to the House. I think we're coming up with a much better pay for than tax and benefits.
When you saying tax and benefits, 40% surcharge on good health care plans?
Yes. And we think that we ought to look at a millionaire's tax as a better way to do it. And I have been proposing that we look at a windfall profits tax. We know that the insurance companies are going to get a tremendous windfall out of this. If you get 35 or 40 million new customers, that's a tremendous windfall.
It's a lot of
Let's
taxes.
tax that windfall.
A lot of taxes.
Well, you know,
we're in a recession.
Well, how do we pay for the civilized society that all of us want?
Well, I'll tell you what.
There's the question.
We actually, I'll tell you, in New York City, we're up, what, 50, 55, 60%? How high do those taxes go? Are we going to look like Great Britain in the 1970s?
Well, no. We've got a few more people to think about than New York City. I love New York. I'm here today because I really like this place. But then we got to think about all those places out there in the hinterlands and how do we take care of them
Taxes
as well.
a lot higher here than in South Carolina. I'll guarantee you that.
Well, I tell you, the cost of living a little higher, too. I just had a continental breakfast this morning. And let me tell you something. That's my full day meal down
It ain't lizard's thicket, is it?
No, absolutely not.
All right, Mika wants to talk about Charlie Rangel.
Last week, the Congressional Black Caucus wrote a letter to Nancy Pelosi voicing full support for Charlie Rangel.
At this step in the process, look, we have referred his issue to the Ethics Committee. He asked the Ethics Committee to take a look at it. Why not let the Ethics Committee do its work?
How long is that going to take?
Well, I don't know. I would hope they would do it by next week so that we can get this stuff behind us. Look, remember, he has not been accused of anything that could be even resemble criminality. All of this is about not putting stuff on your phone, not signing it in a timely fashion.
Well, not paying
all
taxes.
Ethics.
He didn't pay taxes.
Wait, you just said
he has not been charged with anything criminal. If he were charged with anything criminal, I'll be at the front of the line saying, not just step down, but get out of here.
Well, what does this do to his effectiveness now? So during this period, I mean, nothing's happened, but I mean, what kind of effectiveness does he have in Washington at the moment?
Well, I think he's been very effective. I sit in meetings with him all day, every day.
With everything going on around him, he can be effective in meetings?
Well, I think
you know what Jim Clyburn's asking himself right now? Why is this high school kid asking me questions?
I know. Stop it. No.
I know much better, Andrew. I know you better than that.
Charlie Rangel.
He used to treat me the same way when he was in the Congress.
Charlie Rangel himself has admitted to sloppiness here. We're talking about hundreds of thousands of dollars. He is heading a committee in charge of our tax code. Come on. Can't you at least, can you admit there's a problem here? There's a concern here, and that he may need to step down.
We're all very concerned about this, and Charlie's very concerned about it. When he took the House floor when this first happened, he spoke very eloquently, I think, about the concerns, about his sloppiness. That's one thing. This is not criminal. I said to many people, the one time this has been discussed in the Congressional Black Caucus was last week, and all they said was Charlie Rangel is being treated differently here from the way one of our other members on another exclusive committee who is under investigation.
Who's that?
Even under criminal investigation, and no one is asking him to step aside. And he's the ranking member.
Who's that?
He is a very, very good friend of mine, Jerry Lewis.
Jerry Lewis.
And he's a good guy.
Jerry Lewis.
And I would never ask him to step aside.
Jerry Lewis is a Republican from California. He's been under investigation for quite some time, and he's the top Republican of the
Can I ask one more question about this?
You can. I'd rather you ask about Rangel than a fat tax, because you offend me. Go ahead.
For those who say that members of Congress like you and many others who are defending Charlie Rangel and staving off the criticism are really just sticking by their political allies because they're powerful and helpful and they're really not thinking about what is right and what is wrong, you say what?
I am not defending Charlie Rangel. I am defending due process. I'm defending the institution of the House of Representatives. We set up an ethics committee to take a look at these kinds of things, and we ought not get out in front of the ethics committee. If we're not going to let them do their work, let's dissolve the ethics committee and then do it ourselves. But so long as we have that committee, let the committee do its work, report back to us, and then we act.
Let me ask you about Afghanistan. Should the president give General McChrystal the troops he wants?
I think the president needs to be very careful and very prayerful. This is something that he ought not rush into. He is being deliberate, and that's as he should be. George Bush, even before he did the surge, he was very, very deliberate, and I supported that deliberation. And I think that this president needs to be very deliberate, very careful, very prayerful before taking this step.
And in the end, do you support the president whichever way he goes on Afghanistan?
Because I think that the president will have brought all the discussions. I was in the meeting last week on this question, and I thought that it was a very good meeting, and I think the president would take all that into consideration.
All right. Clyburn.
It's always good to see you.
Thank you
so
very
much. Thank you both. Thank you, guys.
We'll see you on the radio today on WABCRadio.com.
I appreciate that.
Coming up, Rush Limbaugh Unleashed. We're going to play the part of 2.